Okay, so anyway, like I said earlier, you got to teach yourself everything, and you have to do everything yourself. Um, I mean, here's the thing: is that when I was working in visual effects, okay, they would basically just when I was working on Earth Final Conflict, that was the ideal. That was um, what I believe would be, kind of what you could really hope for if you were just a grunt, and they give you here's a shot, here's some footage, we need this effect to happen, and that's all you have to worry about. Okay, when you have to do everything, all right. Now when you're drawing, you want to work on comic books. You just want to draw. You just want to sit there and draw panels. Like let's just draw one picture after another, and it stitch together, make it into a comic book, and then we're done, right? And it's like that's supposed to be the comic, but it doesn't line up that way. It's like because when you want to do a comic, you're like, well, what do I draw? What do I have to do? Like after you draw one panel after another, it's like, well, gee, what's in these panels? What should things look like? And you draw character designs. A lot of times I see character designs which are, to be honest, they look cool. Okay, they look cool, but they don't look like they fit into into an actual story. They might look like, say, the character designs I do in my costume and fashion tutorials. I haven't done fashion. I haven't done functional clothing yet. I haven't done functional uniforms yet. Um, and so these are things that I wind up having to teach myself, right? Um, and then there's the other problem of how do you deal with story? Like there were two books that I liked. There was one by David Mamet, which is on directing, and then on directing film. And then there's another one by Robert McKee, which is just called Story by Robert McKee, MCKEE. And they were both great books. They were conflicting in certain points, and there are some things which I through fighting with story I later came to disagree with. And this is only something that happens when you're actually writing story and you're actually getting some experience doing these things. They don't just come to you magically. And the books, no matter how good they are, they don't turn you into an excellent story writer. That's what the experience is for. So what the books did is they helped me go down some of the wrong paths, but at the same time, some of the things that you learn in a book can be taken so literally and to such a degree that it eventually blockades you. So there's no one really telling you these things when you're working as a freelancer. When you're working on your own and you're just working on your own productions. Um, okay, so what else do I miss? There's no teamwork. So I mean, there's when they say there's no I in team when you're working for a large company, there's no team in I when you're working alone. So there's that. I miss my buddies. There's no benefits. So I mean, I have no dental plan. I've got none of that stuff. Like you have to pay all of that stuff yourself. Um, no work. Yeah, that's another thing. It's like the only way that you get work is if you create a portfolio and put it out there, and get other companies to see it. And even then, you got to know what your clients are looking for. Okay, I think I'd like to talk. Um, Maybe I'll spend a little bit of time talking about the work. Okay, here's the thing. Whenever you're working, all right, I'll say why you don't get any work. Whenever um, I have been on the side of the employer before where, when I was working in visual effects, we got a stack of demo reels. These are, portfolios. And they would, we had to look through these demo reels and see which ones were any good. And, if they were any good, then we'd give these people a call. But I tell you, okay, like 95%, 1 out of 20 reels. Okay, 1 out of 20 VHS tapes, I think. Man, that was generous. I wouldn't, but I guess around, yeah. It was a lot, I'd say 1 out of 20 tapes, okay, would be kind of worth looking at. Sometimes not even that. And we just go through these tapes, and most times we're looking at these tapes, okay, it's like the ultimate cringe fest. We're like, oh god, oh man, look it's not moving right. It's not moving right, and like, the rigging on the character is all wrong, and like the animation is like not fluid at all. It's like and like the story is just awful. It's just like the whole time through. It's just oh, it's like I get really bad memories seeing these demo tapes. Okay, and those are the people we call them back and say, yeah, we've got you in the file. That would be we've got you in the circular file, the waste bin, and that's what it's like. Okay, it's just the reason why. It's not that there's no work. There is work. It's that there's very few competent workers who know what we want. And so if you're working for a client, you got to be real. It's, if you are truly good, then if you are able to produce a portfolio that makes it look, it's like if you know what the job's like, if you know exactly what position you're applying for. Let's say your position is working at a canning factory, okay? Then ideally you come into that interview, or your portfolio consists of a bunch of cans that you've made that are really, really nice, right? It's like when you come into the interview, you come in there with raw sheet steel and you fold it with your own hands and make a nice finished can right in front of there, right? It's like they look at you and they say, I can imagine that guy sitting in front of that desk right over there. Let's get this man a desk right away. Let's pay him. So in the case of, say, drawing and doing this art stuff, I like to show people a portfolio that shows that I have a consistency to my art. I show them a portfolio of, say, you make a mock video game, a fake video game. It's a fake video game project, and you show them these are all the characters of my video games. Here are some levels where which these characters will be interacting with. This is the object of the game. These are all the weapons that they'll use. These are the items that they pick up. These are what the monsters look like. You show them a series of these things, and when they look at them, they can imagine what it would be like to actually animate and create the models. They got to be three-dimensional, and they got to look like, when you hand it off to a modeler, they will know what to do. There's no wonky geometry anywhere. This is all stuff that's just, it's got to be, you have to look like you are consistently competent and you're capable of, producing a whole bunch of things which they know will fit into their project. Not that you go and you do whatever the hell it is that you want and you show them a bunch of, here's my drawing, and it's like all kind of done with crayon and pencil, and it looks like, and it looks cool, and it's got lots of spikes and, stuff on it. And that's, if it looks like anything that comes off of like socially unacceptable art.tumblr.com, okay, then it's gonna be a cringe fest. And I tell you, to be honest, I look at a lot of portfolios and it is a cringe fest, because I know without a shadow of a doubt that if I asked them to draw the box exercise, that they wouldn't be able to do it. Okay, because when you're working in 3D, all right, when you're working in video games, you're working on movies, and they're gonna make something in 3D, they can make cubes, all right? If they can just create a cube, they can step it forward, they can rotate it, they have all the control for sculpting, okay? You don't have that sculpting control, forget it. It's not gonna happen. So that's why there's often no jobs for artists, is because they're just not good enough. And everybody and their grandma wants to be an artist. Everybody is basically taking art college, and you've got these art colleges that, I swear, many of them are like debt mills. They don't necessarily know, all the steps or the things that they should be really teaching students. And it's, it sometimes is the teachers. Teachers have to be able to articulate the basics. And I tell you, most times that I see the students, all right, is they don't know the basics. And I tell you, I was one of those students who would say to myself, oh yeah, I know the basics, yeah, just draw some cubes. And it was not like that. It was not. It's like, I tell you, it's like I had to flounder around for 3.5 years before I finally sat down and said, okay, I don't know how to draw a box. This is bad. I got to change this. And I'm going to learn how to do everything with boxes. And that's, you'll basically see a lot of my boring ass pedantic videos are because I sat down, buckled down, and got some discipline into myself and turned myself into a cube factory. That's what it was. I became a form factory. I became, someone, now I could probably go and work for a company. I could actually, apply to a video game company and show them, that I'm able to come up with steady concepts. But that's not what I want. I don't want to be I don't want to go there and work as a peon, because there are no promotions. All right. Ideally, I'd like to create my whole online comic book, do the music, do everything myself, make it into a finished product, and then use that as my portfolio. Go to a company and say, I don't want to just be a peon. I'd like to be an art director. I'd like, a substantial position. And this is a project that I did entirely by myself. I can tell your workers what I would like because I have done their job before. That is what I'm looking for. Because I have no track record. I can't just go to a place and say I want a director. I want a directorial position. Doesn't happen. So it's like there's the only way you can either that kind of position is either through nepotism, or you just have to be able to show them that you've worked independently and you've done everything yourself, and you're not going to be some guy who says I want it 2 pixels to the left or 2 pixels to the right. Anyway, we're out of time. I got more stuff to talk about. Probably the last part of this whole working for the big leagues thing. Well, who knows? Might be 2 parts, considering I still have to talk about artists and whatnot. And let's go.